Senator Alsobrooks.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to say thank you as well to the witnesses today for being here. Maryland has taken a particularly proactive approach to addressing PFAS contamination. Our state has conducted statewide drinking water testing, surface water sampling, and fish tissue analysis across the Chesapeake Bay watershed. And these efforts have helped to identify the causes for contamination long before many other states had comparable data. Maryland has made these investments so that responsible parties can be clearly identified and communities can benefit from cleanup. CERCLA is designed to ensure that the polluters, not the public, bear the cost of remediation. So my first question is for Ms. Bowers. I just want to ask you, how does CERCLA's liability framework support states like Maryland that have already done the hard work of gathering evidence and mapping contamination? And how does it help ensure that cleanup costs are properly assigned to the responsible actors?
Thank you for that question. CERCLA envisions a robust role for states. States are able to take enforcement action under the statute. States provide input into listing sites on the national priorities list of Superfund sites. States have a role in determining what cleanup is appropriate at a site. States also can enact their own, they're often referred to as mini Superfund laws, so their own parallel statutory or regulatory schemes under state law for addressing contamination from various substances. And so many states have been addressing PFAS contamination under their own state laws prior to the designation under CERCLA of PFAS and PFOA as hazardous substances.
Thank you. And likewise, just another question for you, Ms. Bowers. In Maryland, some of the most contaminated sites we found are located at federal facilities like Aberdeen Proving Ground, the Patuxent River Naval Air Station, and other Department of Defense sites where firefighting foams that contain PFAS and industrial processes were used for decades. And so state sampling has repeatedly shown that these federal facilities are among the largest contributors to PFAS contamination in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. And Maryland has been working to address this contamination, but the state ultimately relies on EPA's enforcement of CERCLA to ensure that federal agencies take responsibility for cleanup in the same manner as private entities. And so I wonder, how does CERCLA ensure that federal facilities are held to the same cleanup standards and obligations as private polluters, and what mechanisms are in place to make sure that federal agencies fully participate in remediation in a timely manner when they're identified as responsible parties?
Thank you for that. Under CERCLA, federal facilities and the federal government face the same liability and the same requirements as other sites. In addition to that, with respect to military sites, DoD remediates environmental contamination under the Defense Environmental Restoration Program. And Congress has been requiring DoD to respond to and address contamination from pollutants, contaminants, and hazardous substances, which would have included PFAS and PFOA even prior to the designation of those substances as hazardous under CERCLA.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pilconis, I just want to ask you a question as well. Restoration and navigation projects throughout the Chesapeake Bay region frequently involve dredging, and some of the dredged sediment has been found to contain PFAS, particularly near historic military installations, industrial sites, or wastewater outfalls. Handling and disposing this sediment presents unique challenges for contractors, including uncertainty around proper containment, transportation, and disposal, as well as potential regulatory liability. So I wonder, given these challenges, what specific guidance or technical support from EPA or state agencies would help contractors safely manage PFAS-contaminated sediment, maintain compliance, and avoid delays in project timelines?
So we need concentration thresholds so that we can understand restricted versus unrestricted use. We need disposal standards so that we know what needs to be taken where. We can't take all soil that is involved in construction to a hazardous waste landfill. And in some cases, our members are being told that that's what they need to do because the closest municipal solid waste landfill won't accept the soil. We've gotten price differentials that I included in my written statement from our members, going from an example of a contractor had waste from a DOD facility. They were told that they couldn't take it to a regular landfill. Costs went from $20 a yard to $200 and $300 a yard. And we're talking about tens of thousands of yards of soil. In the Northeast, lightly contaminated PFAS soil, same thing, had to be hauled to a hazardous waste landfill 100 miles away. So the costs are increasing exorbitantly because we do not have the concentration thresholds and we do not have the instructions or the standards on what to take where. What does need to go to a hazardous waste landfill?
Thank you. And I have also a question, Mr. Gerstenberg. The need to address PFAS contamination is urgent, and incineration is one approach to destroy PFAS. However, there is so much uncertainty about the process, leading to concerns with this method. And the Argonite facility in Utah has a history of permit violations, including burning waste that contained mercury and lead. And so what has Clean Harbors done to prevent similar issues during PFAS incineration?
Yes, thank you, Senator. We've done extensive testing with the EPA, also with the state of Utah, in burning PFAS, and have proven through our high-temperature RCRA incineration that PFAS can be properly disposed of, high concentrations of PFAS. High-temperature RCRA thermal incineration is a higher cost, and that should be utilized around higher concentrations of AFFF foam in contaminated soils. In the cases that we were just talking about where remediation of dredging soils, those could go to a more cost-effective solution than hazardous waste incineration.
Thank you. Thank you.